this episode of Akram's Ideas, I'm going to share with you my sewing plans for August, so stay tuned! Hello and welcome. I'm Akram Burris, and you're watching Akram's Ideas, bringing creative and crazy ideas to life. For this episode of Akram's Ideas, I'm actually coming to you from my mother-in-law's enchanted garden. It has been super hot in Oklahoma the last few days. It was up in the triple digits, and today and yesterday we actually got cooled off. We got some rain, and it's kind of breezy right now, so I thought I'd take advantage of the cooler weather and get some nice video out here in the garden. So I actually have something new for you guys in this episode. Many of the YouTube sewing vloggers that I follow, such as Lisa Comfort from Sew Over It London, they feature a monthly video where they share the makes that they've made that month and their upcoming plans for the following month. And I thought it would be fun to kind of do the same. So I've created a new series of what I'm calling On the Sewing Table, where I'm going to feature my plans for the upcoming month, as well as a few recaps of projects that I've recently completed. So with that said, let's get to it. As for July's makes, there's only been actually a handful of things that I actually made in July. Now, if you go to my blog, Akram's Ideas, you will see that there are several sewing projects that I have up there on the blog. And actually those sewing projects, most of those projects I actually completed in May and June, and I'm only now getting around to posting them on the blog. So for July, technically, the only one that I have on the blog right now is the shirt dress, McCall's 4769. Now, I actually made two versions of this dress back in June, and I loved it so much I knew that I wanted to make a third version, only this time I wanted to include a sleeved version. And so I made a new version with sleeves and a contrasting cuff and collar band. And I absolutely love that dress. I feel like the sleeves are maybe a little too low, just because I had to make some adjustments, but overall that dress is fabulous. It's much similar to the other two dresses that I made, like I said, in June, and it's comfy and cozy, and while it's a modern pattern, it has a very, I think, 40s shirt dress feel to it. So I'm very, very happy with that project. Now, my other two projects that I worked on in July took up majority of my time. First off, I was selected as a pattern tester for Megan Nelson Patterns, and if you've ever gone out to Megan Nelson Patterns website, they have a lot of really nice, I feel like they're really comfortable, casual clothes, which are still stylish and dressy enough to wear out and about. And they had a call for pattern testers, and so I most recently finished that up a week or two ago and completed that. And while I can't indulge too much about the pattern, I can only say that it had tons of piping. It was a paneled dress, and there was piping at every single seam. While it was optional, I thought that the piping was gonna just take the dress a notch up above casual to something really wow. So I ended up using piping for all the seams, and there was a lot of grading to get it to fit right. So that took up a whole lot of time, and I had to very carefully document everything that I went through, since I was a tester and I had to make sure that the instructions were correct and all the pattern pieces worked as they should. So that took up a lot of time. The other project that I'm wrapping up in July, and actually really just need to take photographs of, is the Retro Tiki collaboration project, where we are making Buttrick 6354. And this was actually the brainstorm of Bianca from Vintage on Tap, and she reached out to me and a couple of other lovely gals if we would do a collaboration project where each of us make the pattern with our own special twist on it. And so I will be actually making the original pattern, kind of showing how it looks as is, and then you'll also get to see Bianca from Vintage on Tap. There's Abby from the Crafty Pinup, and Christina from Gassets and Goddets. They'll all be participating, and that will be coming up actually next Friday with a special giveaway. So be sure to check back next Friday where I'll talk about all that. So those were the big makes for July. And there was a lot, like I said, with the pattern testing, and even with the Buttrick 6354, there was boning involved, and I'd never done any boning, and so that took up a lot of my time. So those are really the only things that I made in July. The first project that I actually have in the works is actually on my sewing table at home, because I'm obviously not at home, but that is Vintage Simplicity 3508, and that's actually a wrap-up from the vintage dress sew-along that Allie J was hosting over at Bernina USA's website. And that is basically a shirt dress, a vintage shirt dress, and I'm using a orange plaid that I had because I wanted to go with the pattern before I dove into any fabric that I was really attached to, and I had a lot of that fabric, so it worked out well because it's a full gathered skirt. The pattern's from the 50s, and so it's I'm really excited to get started with that. The other reason I'm actually started with that pattern is because I cut it out a year ago, and in the process of moving and everything, it got put in a box, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it like forever. And then a few months ago I was like digging out boxes, and I'm like, there's the pattern I cut out. And so immediately I was like, okay, for the vintage dress sew-along, I need to finish this pattern. So that's pattern one that I'm wrapping up. The second one is another sew-along that I kind of got involved in, and that is a sew-along for McCall's 7081. This splice dress with a contrasting band, and you can make it with a collar, with variated collars and sleeves. For this dress, I actually have two sets of fabrics here that I'm going to make it with. I'm going to make the main body with a spring floral fabric, and then I'm going to make the contrasting elements in this mint green. And they are so springy-like to me. They just look lovely, and I know here we are at the end of summer and I'm making spring colors, but I couldn't resist these two fabrics. I went through my stash and I was like, this will look lovely in that pattern. So I made a couple of blouses. As you know, my new favorite blouse pattern is Simplicity 1364. If you've gone to my blog, you've seen it. I've made like 5 variations of that blouse. Also really love the t-shirt blouse that I made, which was Simplicity, I can't remember the number, but I'll put it in the comments below, and a link to the article about that, which was another Simplicity vintage reproduction pattern. And I wanted some more of a t-shirt blouse type outfits to make, because I feel like separates are really versatile, and I don't really have a lot of separates. I have a lot of dresses. So I actually came across this sort of shift dress, new look, 6145, and it's a great shift dress. It's got very cool variations, but what I was thinking is that view A here has these cute little gathered sleeves, and I was thinking about making view A as a blouse. And the reason for that is because I want to make it out of this lovely sort of, I guess, polyester knit. It's not quite as heavy as a polyester, maybe it's like a rayon, but it's definitely a synthetic knit of some kind, and I only have enough for a blouse, and I'm hoping I have enough actually for the whole blouse and the sleeves. We shall see. If not, it may just end up a sleeveless blouse. But I think this would look really good, and it's really light, and I love the colors. I think they're fun. So that is another project that I'm going to be working on. The next pattern that I plan to make is Colette Patterns. They have a free pattern on their website called Sobretto, and I love Colette Patterns. I've got their book, and I have yet to make anything of it out of their book, but it has such great step-by-step details in their book that I just love it. And they had a free pattern on their website, which is called the Sobretto tank, which is basically just a tank top with a pleat in the center of it. And I really loved it. I thought it was great, but then I started going online and seeing some reviews of what people have done with it, and many people have added these lovely little cap sleeves on it, and it makes it so vintage looking, and it's just got this great silhouette with the little cap sleeves. So I actually came across this black polka dot synthetic, I guess silk type fabric. It's not quite silk, but it's got that feel to it. It doesn't have a sheen though. It's kind of matte. But I've got quite a bit here, and I thought that blouse would look great in this. I might add some white piping to it, I don't know, but I'm definitely thinking about making the Sobretto tank in this polka dot, and then adding some cap sleeves to give it a little bit more vintage flair. So as far as sewing projects for myself, that's kind of all that I've got planned for August. I'm kind of just wrapping up a couple of projects that I got started, and putting some more blouses in my wardrobe before I really get indulged in and start planning out what I'm going to be making for the fall. So there you have it. Those are all of the projects that I have planned for August. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Akram's Ideas. And as always, don't forget to follow us on social media or subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.